How are you guys doing tonight? These are 12 questions that were sent to me in a message by a gentleman named Dennis. I'm not going to put his full name because I'm not sure if he wants me to or not. But Dennis, if you're watching this video, please comment and feel free to put any of your information up because he started with an intro talking about how he always loved stones and collecting them, and recently he got into some wire wrapping and other working with stones and attempting to sell them and stuff. And so he said, here's 12 questions. He's doing some market research on people who have been doing this as a living. And so he had 12 questions for me. He said, would you be willing to answer them? You don't have to. And I said, not only will I answer them, I'd like to put them in a video because these are great questions. I think they're questions that a lot of you, if you're trying to sell your art or jewelry, are trying to ask or have thought of asking, probably a bunch of these. I do get a sense he's from the UK or outside the US just because of his spelling of a few words. Instead of O-R, he put O-U-R, like labor. But other than that, he can identify and put any contact info on any of his business stuff on a comment. That'll be totally cool. So first question, is your business full-time or part-time? It has been full-time for 10 years. It started part-time as I was a public school teacher and elementary, and I quickly found that the art was bursting out of me. I mean, I wanted, technically, years before part-time, I had been selling art, attempting to sell art since I was a teenager, but I took the safe route and got a real job doing the responsible adult life decision, and went to college and became a teacher, and the art was bursting out of me. Like I was just redesigning the furniture in my classroom. I was building chairs and bookshelves and stuff that I felt were better for the students than what the school provided. And then when I would do crafts with the kids and string beads and stuff, I got more excited. I wanted to do that all day rather than the other stuff. I love the kids. I love teaching. I went out of my way to be an amazing teacher, but the system gave me nothing but grief for that because the whole system is designed around mediocrity and keeping people in line and keeping people following directions, no matter how horrible those directions are. Not a rigorous thought, not creativity, not industrious application of even learning. Sadly, but that's a critique for another day. Let's get back to this. And that's kind of fine because it's the system. Like, I didn't last long, and here I am doing what I much rather preferred and didn't believe I could do in the beginning. Okay, so I started kind of part-time dabbling in it while I was teaching, but I've been full-time 10 years. Number 2, what steps did you take to get where you are today in your jewelry business? A lot of these questions are going to have the same answer. I was relentless. You can answer pretty much all 12 of these questions with one word: relentless. I fell down, I got up, I fell down, I got up, I fell down, I got up. That song, I get knocked down, but I get up again, my anthem. Except that song's about falling down from being drunk. No alcohol needed. I get knocked down enough by attempting to do all the endeavors that I try. Forgive, I was out in the rain, so my hair's kind of fuzzy. It's just cracking me up. But yeah, you will get knocked down a million times. You will be told that what you're doing is a waste of time and stupid. If you're not being told that, maybe you're not investing enough time and doing it hard enough. Because and not that I was told that every day by everybody, but, definitely, I to this day, I have friends online who only know me as my personality online, and I don't mean on this channel. I mean on older social media back from before I started this channel, and they don't really know what I do. They think I basically do kindergarten crafts and then go out and try to sell them at a teeny tiny little itty bitty kiosk, and I basically play all day, and they think that's a big they think it's hilarious, and they like to pick, and they don't really know how much I make, and I absolutely have no desire to tell them because they don't want to believe that I succeed. They want to believe that I'm not doing well, and even if I threw some numbers out there, they would find a way to try to, downplay that, even if it was not higher numbers than what they're doing in their profession, because they basically want to believe that it's just a silly craft for kids. So I don't even know what number I'm on now. That was a long rant. Well, yeah, it was, what steps did you take to get where you are today? Relentlessness is the number one answer. The number two is learn, try everything, climb over everything, be willing to fail, be willing to adapt, be willing to change, be willing to, basically you have this Venn diagram. A Venn diagram is like where you see those two circles, and on this circle is everything in this category, on this circle is everything in this category, but they overlap, and there's that little sliver in the middle. And so the one circle is everything that you enjoy doing. The other circle is everything the market wants to pay for. You have to find where those overlap, and that's hard. That's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of messing up, a lot of mistakes. But that's the steps. You need to be relentless, and you need to adapt. I have a video called Adapt. You can look it up. Matt's Crazy Art. Adapt. Number three, what were your first 2 years in business like? Awful. Completely horrible. I had to move back into my parents' house. I could barely afford to keep my very small cell phone bill paid. With my parents covering food and rent and everything, like, I could barely afford to keep my cell phone. And I think they didn't have internet just yet, because my parents were not really they were kind of slow to get into tech. And so I paid the internet bill. The internet bill was like $60. My cell phone bill was like $45, $50. And that was a struggle to just pay that much. It was a lot of tiring, driving really far to shows. I remember one time, I was doing ceramics at the time. I was selling ceramic vases like this one. I was developing this style, but it didn't matter how pretty I made them. I didn't know where the shows were, where people had money. I didn't know where people were willing to spend. And I was going to flea markets. I was trying everything. And I remember one time one time I woke up at 6 a.m. and drove to another state and opened at no, I must have woken up at 4:30, because I opened at like 7, because this flea market was supposed to open really early, and it was freezing, and I would set up my stuff and then go climb in my van and turn on the heat and try not to die, and then go back and set up some more stuff, and hardly anyone came by. I still made more than I paid for that stupid little spot, but it was horrendous. Another time, I remember I didn't have enough money to get home. I had just enough money to put gas in my car to get to the trip, and nobody was buying anything. And I had all my vases set up, and I said, I just need to sell one vase so I can put gas in my car to get home. And I sold one vase. It was probably worth about 80 or 90 bucks for the amount of time and work I put into it. Maybe someday, if I become uber famous, that vase could be worth hundreds or thousands. I sold it for $15, and that was $15 was like, oh. I had a good feeling I was going to sell something, but until it happened, I was like, $15, that was it. I think I might have sold one other thing for $10, and then I put gas in my car and I made it home. Number three, what were your two first... we did number three. Man, I am so disorganized. I should start checking these off as I read them. Number four, what are the biggest mistakes I should go back to number two, my first 2 years in business. So it was rough. It wasn't always, it was pretty much rough. It was talking to club owners, small club owners with venues, trying to get them to let me set up a little table in the corner. It was a lot of driving, a lot of setting up, a lot of breaking down, and not a lot of money. A lot of spending more money on gas and food for myself, and just staying alive and breaking even, and barely being able to put any money in my bank account at all. Like, just saying like, if I can keep it above $20, then I don't have to worry about some hidden charge coming in and knocking me down to negative balance on my bank account. So yeah, that was the first 2 years. That was the first 4 or 5 years, honestly. It switched when I did what I say in my video, How to Sell Your Art, when I started hanging out with really successful artists. That was the difference. I had to hang out with the people who were making it. Because most artists I was hanging out with had full-time jobs, and they were doing this on the side, and I was trying to do it full-time. So I shouldn't have been hanging out with part-timers, because part-timers, it's totally fine to do it part-time, but there is a total different level between part-time and full-time. When you're doing it part-time and you have a day job, it doesn't matter if you make it or not. At the end of the day, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine if you lose all your money. You're going to be fine if you pay $75 for a table spot and make zero. You're going to be upset and disgusted and feel like you wasted your time, but your bills are going to get paid. The full-time people, they don't have that luxury, that option. They have to dive in head first, and they have to make it work. Okay. Number 4, what are the biggest mistakes novices make when getting into the business? Thinking you're not going to get beat up. You're going to get punched in the face. Like not physically, hopefully, but emotionally. Thinking that if you are a sensitive person, if you are a sweetheart, if you are, how do I put this? If you, think, oh, a regular job is not working for me. This is what I can do, so I can, work on my own time. And if I have a whole bunch of issues with myself that make it hard to work a regular job, but this kind of job, I can structure it around all my issues. It's possible some people have done that, but at the end of the day, it doesn't work that way. This is for people who can do a regular job, for people who can do 100 different regular jobs and just don't want to do a regular job because they feel that they can do better if they invest in themselves and build their own kind of job out of nothing. They feel like down the road it's going to be more rewarding for whatever reason. So this is not for the faint of heart. This is not for people working through a lot of issues. Again, take everything I say with a grain of salt, because I don't know you. And for every can't ever spoken, there's somebody going right past that person doing it. So, maybe you are the most neurotic person, full of issues. You're terrified of everything under the sun. You have all kinds of stuff, but you think you can just make some crafts and make a living that way, and it's just going to take off. And maybe you just have some kind of secret formula to work out the things where you can rely on your strengths, and your weaknesses are not going to stop you, and you will make it happen. And I honestly believe there are people out there like that. They're probably on Etsy. They're probably homebound. They probably stay in their own little spot, but they figured out how to make it work. Don't bank on that. Guarantee. If you want advice from me, no, never. I will never tell you to do that. I will feel like I'm leading you astray, because it's a fairy tale. It's like there's also people out there who, there's people out there who are playing guitar and singing songs on the street, and some producer just happened to find them, and now they're a big star, and they didn't go through all the other steps that other artists did of going to club venues for years and suffering, and before they were discovered. They just got discovered at a young age. That happens too. There's rappers who get picked up. In the 90s, there were these 2 rappers that were 12 years old. They were picked out of a mall and taught how to rap and given a hit album. They made exactly 2 hits, and then they completely fell off the map because they didn't really have natural talent. Everything was built around them. But they got lucky. That is 1 in 10 million. Don't bank on that. So the biggest mistakes novices make is, thinking that it's cute, it's fun, I love art, I'm whimsical, oh, me, people are going to love me, my personality is going to be cute, or my products are cute, people are going to love them, I think they're cute, other people are going to think they're cute. No, that's not how it works. Like, I can't tell you. Like, I can make cute stuff until the cows come home. In fact, I made some cool stuff once because my 3-year-old niece, I let her pick out what beads she wanted at the art store, and she picked out little plastic flowers and other little tiny things that I thought were so ridiculously not my style. But I made them and they sold. They were popular. Like, but that was after I had already established layers of networks of selling well. Like, oh, I feel like I'm kind of going all over the place here. What I want to focus and say is the biggest mistake novices make when getting into business is they think that because they love what they do, they love making their little art and it's cute, that it's just going to take off. Or even if they think it's going to take off slowly, I think it's just going to build. No, I opened 4 Etsy stores. The first 3, I sold 1 item and then it fizzled. Or I made a big promotion about it, told all my friends, they came. Opening day, I made $150 and then it fizzled for a year and a half. Nothing, absolutely nothing, zero. And everybody would compliment my, oh, you have beautiful stuff. Beautiful. Oh, it's so, they compliments till the end of the earth, never spending a penny. It has absolutely nothing to do with being cute or finding an easy way out. This is a hard road. It's harder than a regular job. It's harder than a job at McDonald's. It's harder than a job at Walmart. It's harder than, pick any job that you are able to do, that you can apply for, that you can learn. Pick any job that you can go to 4 years of school and be good at. It's harder than that. This is really, really hard. The payoff is you believe that you have this end goal with this big dream. If you want to do it full time. If you want to do it part-time, totally different thing. Then you can make it whatever you want because, again, you have a day job. Number 5, we're only on number 5. Man, I maybe I should have written out the answers to keep this more concise. I hope this is helping people. Please tell me if it's a little too rambling or if it is helping you. Number 5, what are the pitfalls to look out for within this jewelry business? My answer is the same to every question, that it's going to be easy. The pitfall is that it's going to be easy. The pitfall is that 3 years in, you're going to be able to pay your bills. You might not. I mean, I can tell you, if you follow the steps on my video, put in Matt's Crazy Art, how to sell your art. If you follow those steps diligently, you will skip a lot of the mistakes I made. I can't promise anyone will succeed because you need a combination of other elements. You actually have to have a good sense of art and color and what really looks good, and you have to have some skill. And most of that you can learn. There's very few things you have to be born with. But it does help if you have a little bit of, at least a little bit of freebies, that some talents you're born with. I got lost again. So yeah, the pitfalls is that it's going to be easy. It's not. It's going to be really hard. Just plan for it to be hard. Does that mean you should give up at a certain point when it's too hard? I don't know. Is it for you or not? Maybe you want to go back to a regular job. There's a lot of times I said to myself, I'd love to go back and just have an office job at this point. Not because I prefer punching in data entry into a computer to making art, but because being your own boss is really hard. It's really hard to motivate yourself. It's really hard to push yourself. Whereas if you have a place, a physical structure to show up every day at a certain time and someone expecting you to be there and expecting you to leave at a certain time, and that time is a reasonable time, you get in at 9, you leave at 5, like a lot of people, and then you get to go home and you have your evenings free. You have both weekends free. And you have steady income as long as you show up every day and you do what you're told and you don't do anything really stupid or break any rules. That check comes every day and you know exactly how much that check is going to be. There's no surprise. The only thing it's going to do is go up. You're going to get a raise every year or two if you just keep doing what you're supposed to do. That is so comfortable. I don't know why anyone would leave that for this ridiculous punishment, self-punishment. it sounds like an adventure. It sounds fun. It sounds great. And there's elements of that, but it is mostly getting your butt kicked. It is mostly being miserable and lonely and like frustrated. So, you know, you got to decide if you're cut out for that. If you're cut out for that, like, I mean, there are people who are just animals, and they would much rather make their own way, and they just don't care where their next paycheck is coming from, and they just believe that food is going to show up from someone, even if it's from a kind friend or stranger who sees that they're struggling right now. Like, and they're bohemian and they have to go for it. I'm a half and half. I'm kind of crazy and bohemian, and I want to live that way. And then another part of me wants to live in the real world and like wants to have my evenings to sit on the couch with, you know, a loved one and watch a great show and cuddle with the dog or the cat and just feel that sense of home and go to bed at a reasonable time and wake up at a reasonable time and go to the gym like a normal person. You know, like that probably up until a couple years ago, that basically looked like heaven to me. And I almost went back to teaching. I got a chance to teach at a better place that had a much better situation than that my old school district. It was a much better district, and it looked like I was going to be appreciated more. And I almost went back to teaching because that steady income, that steady schedule, that everything's in place, that structure, it's beautiful. I don't know why anybody downplays that. I feel like people are so ungrateful and so selfish, and so they don't have a sense of humanity, of history, that 99% of humanity is people scratching and scraping just to put enough food in their stomach not to die. People say, oh, cubicles, and oh, those sitting in an office, that's just soul-sucking, like life-draining. Ugh, we would just get in these cars and we drive to sit in a cubicle to sit there all day and then get back in a car to drive back, and oh, it's so terrible. I want to live my life. I don't. No, you ungrateful person. That is a beautiful life. That is wonderful. That means every evening you can do anything you want. Saturday all day, Sunday all day. You can do anything you want. You want to try this business? Your Saturdays are gone. Your Sundays are gone. Saturday and Sunday are the most productive days to sell. You have to work those days. You don't get those days off. Monday is your weekend. Monday and Tuesday is maybe Tuesday, probably just Monday. You should probably only take one day off. Monday is your day off, and you're so exhausted you'll sleep the whole day. That's pretty much. I would not get off the couch or out of bed most Mondays, which is my designated weekend. That's my Saturday and my Sunday, all squished into Monday. I didn't even have time to do errands or shopping for myself. Like, it's Monday, that's it. Tuesday comes along, I'm back to work. And if I do take a little bit of Tuesday to go even shop for stuff I need, like toiletries or like clothes, I feel guilty because I really need to be working. So if you want to be a ridiculously crazy entrepreneur, then join in the insanity, but you have to be a fighter with tough skin, and you have to be willing to work ridiculous hours, and you have to be someone who has a goal, an end goal, a dream that 5 years from now, it's all going to be worth it. I'm going to be able to build a life that is where I will be able to do what I want to do, when I want to do, how I want to do it. But if you're not made out of that tough stuff, please go pick any of the beautiful jobs available in this beautiful, like, if you're watching from the West, from anywhere in the US, from Europe, Canada, Australia, anywhere. I mean, even if anywhere on earth, even if you're watching, I mean, like, even countries that have less money now, there are so many jobs opening up available. Like, if there is a job you can take that you can do and someone will pay you a steady income, please do that. Please be, please, like, and you're saying, well, you said you tried to do that in the beginning. You said you tried to take a responsible job, and now you're going back and saying that it's the most beautiful thing ever. Well, that's not necessarily true, because I picked what my family told me I would be good at, which was teaching. I didn't really pick what I really wanted to do. If I could go back in time, I might have gotten a degree in business, and then I would have picked a field I really wanted to do instead of panicking and picking something that felt safe. And maybe with that degree in business, I would have eventually come around to art and built an art business. But I might have worked for years for other businesses to learn the business skills, because business is much bigger when it comes to art business than art. Like, art is art, business is business. Art is 5%, business is 95% if you want to make it successful. And I'm going to get into more of that with these questions. So yeah, the pitfall is, that's it. Number 6, what is the biggest misuse of time? I'm glad I wrote a note on this. So I should really have answered all these written down first, and then I would probably stay more focused. I wrote not listening to your gut to be more efficient. The biggest misuse of time is when you're an entrepreneur and when you're building something from scratch. Sometimes you feel like you're reinventing the wheel. You can't waste time. You're going to waste time, but you got to try to do it as little as possible. So you're going to do a lot of painting, a lot of sanding, a lot of practicing, a lot of weaving, whatever you're doing. If your gut is telling you this is not worth it, you're spending way too much time on this and it's not going to pay you back what you're spending, you got to listen to your gut. And there's either you got to pick a different medium, or you got to find a shortcut. You got to find a faster way to do it. Example, I was doing a lot of woodwork at one time. Sanding by hand I wasn't gonna pay the bills with that. I needed to get power tools and sand much faster. Maybe that doesn't make me feel like a true artist from 100 years ago that would carve completely with nothing but blades. But at the end of the day, I'd have 10 pieces lined up ready to sell instead of one, or 20 pieces instead of one. So listening to your gut, when your gut tells you you're wasting time, you got to listen and you got to fix it. You got to step it up and do something differently. So you stop wasting time. That's the biggest misuse of time, is not listening to your gut, whatever that is. And your gut is going to hound you. So be prepared. As soon as you get into this, the first thing your gut might tell you is maybe you should spend a couple more years just having a safe, full-time, regular day job. But, if you truly listen to your gut and your gut tells you you can do this, then you better do it hard and fast, and every second you can make something more efficient. You squeeze it to make it more efficient. Number 7, that wasn't too bad. I'm getting through these a little faster now. What are the biggest myths you see about this business? I also wrote notes. Number 1, the biggest myths. Number 1, if you make it pretty or right, it will sell. Never. No way. Stuff sells because you know how to sell. Period. Everyone's heard of My Pet Rock. Could you make My Pet Rock work and sell and make millions of dollars? Yes. If you know how to sell. If you don't know how to sell, you are not going to sell anything. That's just it. That's all it is. You have to know how to sell. So how do you sell? Well, that is what I answer. And how to sell your art. I think, is that the name of the title? Now I'm forgetting the name of my own title. But yeah, I give you five things I've found and I break it down much better in that video. It's much more organized. How to sell your art. Those 5 things I know. Awesome salespeople might tell you 5 different things, or they might add 5 things. I don't know, but you have to know how to sell. That's the biggest myth. The second big, and here's a small myth, but this one cracks me up all the time, is that you can price your pieces based on a math problem. Oh, you should price your pieces because if you spend this much on materials and this much on time, well then you owe yourself this much for your time and add this much for your materials, and then this much for whatever. And that's how much, if you spent $5 on materials and you spent an hour and you should pay yourself $15 an hour, that's $20, and then maybe another $5 because you'll have to pay for the rent or the show or the place you're going to sell. So you should sell this piece for 25 bucks based on that math problem. If I had to do that, that's insanity to me. It's completely insanity, because I sold $40 things that now I'd sell for 40 or 50 bucks because I spent so much time on them, for 15 and 20 bucks. I sold $150 items for 15 bucks. I sold $5 items to people at a drive-through. I gave away stuff. I gave away a lot of stuff to get people to buy other stuff. Like, I scrapped and I scrimped and I scratched, and like, a lot of people tell me your prices are too low, your prices are too low, your prices are too low. And I'd be like, okay, I can only do what works for me. They'd tell me that your prices are too low, and then at the end of the day, I'd have 5 times as much in total sales as them. Well, maybe you worked so much harder that they actually made it out better. Maybe, I don't know, but I still have 5 times as much as them. And I kicked my butt making so many shortcuts and making the pieces that I bet I didn't work 5 times as hard as them. So the answer is not, oh, I did this and this and this, therefore I deserve this much and that's the price. No, the answer is, what are people willing to pay for this? And the only way to find out is to ask. And if they say no, wait till you get a yes and be like, okay, that's what people are willing to pay. Well, I can't afford that with this materials and this amount of time. So you got to find a cheaper place to get your materials, or get a cheaper version of those materials, and stop worrying about getting the very best of the best, and find a faster way to do it, and cut out all those little time-wasting things you do that don't really matter, that people don't pay attention to. Find out patterns that you can do faster. You gotta meet the market. The market doesn't have to bend to you and your ideas. Number 7. Oh, that was number 7. Number 8. What kind of capital did it take to start your business? Nothing. 0. Pretty much. I started when I was like 17 or 19 or something with a $12 wood burner, picking up scrap pieces of wood, taking up old furniture people were throwing out, and eventually I saved up money to get a scroll saw that was like 90 bucks. That's like a little sewing machine that has a tiny little blade that goes up and down, so I could cut pieces of wood into shapes and then wood burn them. And then 10 bucks for some very cheap acrylic paint, and I watered it down, and I was making like wood pieces that way. So yeah, it was a little bit of money, but it wasn't investment capital. And I started out, I probably spent 50 bucks total on my beginning supplies. And then as I made money, I just bought more stuff. And as I made money, I bought more stuff. I never took a loan except for twice. And that was way into being very successful. There was one particular holiday where I needed to get a lot of inventory fast, and it was a 3-week delivery time because it was coming from overseas, and my finances were just really low because of a bunch of family stuff that I was actually helping out with. So it was a really unique situation, and one of the companies I work with, just to process my credit cards and stuff, offered a loan, and I think I took a $1,500 loan that one time just to get all the supplies I needed in time for the holiday season, knowing the holiday season was going to be thousands in sales, and that extra $1,500 was like crucial. But it was a 15% automatic fee, so it hurt. I paid the entire thing back within a month. I paid it back immediately. And then the only other time I could say I kind of took a loan is the last few. I always wanted to have the most up-to-date smartphone, just because I use this smartphone for so many parts of my business. And so the last few times I let the cell phone company put my smartphone on my daily bill to pay it off over 2 years rather than just pay the whole thing in one chunk. So that technically qualifies as a loan. Other than that, I've never taken alone for anything. It's always been, I make money. If I deserve money, I'll make money. As I take money, I reinvest it in the business. Then I make more money, reinvest in the business. That's just it. Number 9. What skills are essential to survive in this business? I pretty much answered that with the rambling of the first 35 minutes. Being relentless, being able to be knocked down, punched in the face, and get back up. I'm going to have to say, why would you want to do that? You have to have an end vision where this is all going to be worth it. And you have to be self-aware that I can get to this end. I can be beaten down this many times and double the number of times you think you're going to be beaten down and still survive and get to this end where it's all going to be worth it, where I'm going to have a life that is far superior than the much more safe, going to the cubicle every day and, making your money the safe way and saving it and investing it and doing all the responsible things. If you want to do this wild, crazy life, you have to have an end goal that you really believe in with all your heart. And then you have to be relentless. Relentless sounds sexy. It sounds like you're an action hero in a movie, and living it is dreary. It is cold rain, painful joints, loneliness, frustration, doubt. It is not at all appealing when you're going through it. But if you tell yourself you're a superhero every day and you believe in the unbelievable, you can fight through all that junk and you can come out on top, and it can be adventurous and it can be super exciting. But you have to be really self-aware and be like, am I willing to keep doing that? What are your favorite instructional resources on the subject? Well, because of everything I said so far, it's not jewelry making. It's not art. I mean, if I'm learning a new media, I love going and finding a little tutorial and learning some tricks, and that's great. But my favorite thing keeps me alive is watching motivational videos, watching people who are willing to say the tough stuff that I'm trying to tell you in this video. Gary Vee is the best for me, in my opinion, at this point. Tony Robbins was good for a time. Melody? She's one of the few ladies who's really top of the game with motivational books and teachings and stuff. But I just found out about her, so I can't remember. I want to say her name might be Robbins too. I'm not sure, but she's blonde and she's awesome. And I think she wrote the 5-second rule or something like that recently. Anyway, I'm new to her, but there's a few of them. There's a few different ones that are good. Wim Hof is good. Just like health, people who are into different types of health, different alternative types of health. Not saying you should negate regular traditional forms of medicine, but I'm always looking to expand on that and try push the boundaries and try new things. But yeah, definitely motivational people. And once you click on one on YouTube, any motivational person, you'll start finding others come up. People who like this channel also like this, and you'll start finding what works for you, which people you really like to listen to. When deciding on value, do you consider cost of material and labor or what the market can handle? I totally answered that in one of the earlier videos, so don't need to belabor that. Is there anything you would like to say to finish up? I pretty much said like 4 times what I was planning to say, and this video went super longer than I thought it was going to. But you guys have hung out with me for 2-hour live shows, a lot of you, so I'm not as worried about having an extra long video. But I'm going to ask you, is there anything you guys feel like I missed? Please put in the comments. I will get to your comments. I will read them, and I will answer every single one. Might not be the same day you put it, because I'm a few days behind again. I caught up totally to all the comments, but I just slack off for one day, and they start piling up, and that's a good thing. But put in the comments any questions you feel like I didn't address, or any sub-questions based on one of these 12 that you feel like I didn't fully answer to the way you were hoping. Thank you, Dennis, for these questions. I hope they helped. I hope the rambling didn't put too many people to sleep, and you guys have an awesome day or night whenever you're watching this. And remember, I guess I'll sum it up like this. You can do art for fun. You can do art for fun and to make money on the side, or you can do art for fun and to make a full-time income. The difference is the first one is just pure fun, and you should just never judge yourself and just have total fun. The second one takes a little bit more faith, because you're trusting people are going to like what you made enough to give you money, their hard-earned money. But you should totally do it if you think it might be fun. And the third one, you should only do if you are crazy. Like, or if you have an end goal where you see down the road, this is going to make a beautiful life for you that is really what you want to live, and you see that's not going to happen with a regular day job. But you have to be self-aware. You have to be a soldier. You have to be a ninja. You have to be the guy in every action hero or girl. That has to be you. And not the cool, sleek, putting on the leather jacket, putting the weapon in the holster, and putting the whatever the outfit is on, and whoosh, looking cool in the shots and the shadows. Nope. The part where you're in the gym every day getting hit in the face, and you're like taking it, and then you're hitting back, and you're dodging, and you're learning how to not get hit, and you're learning how to not get hit, and you're getting better at it, but then you get hit again because you didn't see that one coming. That's the person you have to be every day. And it does feel really great on the other side of it. Like, all hard things, all really, really beautiful things are hard, and they all feel great way more on the other side than they do in the very beginning. But that's it. So I'll be reading your guys' comments. Let me see what you have to say.